Hello, and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill, and today I'm going to show you how I made this Starbucks-style snow globe for Halloween with a bubbled drip. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description box below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this design, I'm using a 24-ounce Starbucks-styled snow globe. It has a screw top lid, which I really like, and it also comes with a plug to make it super easy to seal. So I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But it's pre-drilled, so you don't have to worry about drilling a hole. And then I'm going to come in with my Witch's Brew lava juice. Now, this lava juice is pretty cool, and the reason why it has its name is that it creates a lava-like type effect inside the snow globe tumbler. So I'm gonna come in, and I'm probably going to fill the tumbler about a third of the way. I did a little bit less in this style, and I wish I would have added more, so I recommend filling it about a third of the way. Then, before you add any of your solution, which is the glitter juice, I'm going to add my glitter. Now, the reason why this is important is because I discovered something that I was not anticipating at all. So once you have all of your glitter in there, you're going to come in with your glitter juice. So this is the solution, and you're just going to fill the cup up the rest of the way. And I add a little bit, kind of shake it a little bit, just to kind of release some of those gases, because we used Amuck, which is this glitter from Peachy Olive Glitters, and we want to make sure that everything is nice and doesn't have any bubbles trapped underneath it. So I'm going to tap it a little bit, release some of that gas, use my little toothpick, I guess you could say, to get any of the glitter down in there, and then I'm just going to top it off with the solution. Now, to kind of give it just a little bit more movement, I'm going to come in with Fast AF just to kind of top it all off. And you want to be careful because the lava juice does have a tendency to raise to the top. So that's really good for creating that lava-like or lava lamp style cup, but it might allow some of it to escape out of the top. So you want to make sure that you do not overfill it, because you're going to have a green mucky mess everywhere. So just continue to fill it and try and get as much of the air out as possible. And then we can move into sealing the tumbler. Once you've given the tumbler a good shake, you have all the gas released, you just come in and you stick this nifty little plug into the bottom of the cup, and it really creates an amazing seal. Now, I don't recommend just leaving this as is. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this UV resin. I love this brand. I'll list it down in the description below. It's actually the sister brand to Padua, which I've listed before. But then I'm just gonna pour probably about 7.5 milliliters of UV resin, and then I'm gonna mix Amuck in there again, which is the matching glitter from the inside of the tumbler. And I'm just going to finish off this little area on the bottom of the cup. Now, you want to make sure that you do not fill it too much, because if you do, you can make the cup almost wonky and tilted. So just add the little bit as needed, as just to cover the bottom and really seal in that plug. I did spray this with alcohol beforehand just to make sure that it was clean and that the UV would really attach well, but you can see here that I'm removing some of the extra just so it is laying flat. But make sure that you get it as flat as possible, and then you can go ahead and torch this. And then I use this amazing UV light. It's 100 watts. It literally cures my stuff so fast. I don't know how I survived without it, like before now, but I used it. I just used it for about 15 seconds. If you have some of like the weaker lights, I would probably do 2 cycles of 60 seconds just to make sure that it's nice and cured. And then we can move on to the next steps of the cup. So here you can see that awesome light. And something else about the lava juice, the Witch's Brew, that I did not know is that it glows under black light. So it does create this cool kind of smoky effect for the lava juice that's inside the cup. Now on to the drip. So these are just some flatback pearls that I got off of Amazon, and this is just slick fabric paint. Now, I've done a tutorial on this style of kind of drip. It wasn't a drip, but it was in a cauldron before, and I did it a little bit differently. So I wanted to really make sure that the pearls got coated more than they did the last time. So what I did is I just did a little bit of a section. So this is probably about an inch and a half wide, and I added some of the fabric paint to the top of the cup and just hit it slightly. key. You don't want to fully like kind of tap it on the table, because you're going to be continuing to do this as you move your way around the cup. And if you get the fabric paint all the way down, then it's just going to keep on going down and you're going to have a yucky mess. So I'm just doing a little bit, add in the pearls as close as possible. And I'm doing a bunch of different sizes. So I'm accounting for kind of the large bubbles and then some of like the smaller bubbles. So there's really no right or wrong here. I'm just kind of moving my way around the drip and adding these bubble details. I also wanted to make sure not to push the pearls like all the way to the surface of the tumbler. I wanted them to really add that kind of three-dimensional aspect of this cup. So I'm kind of keeping them on the surface, but using that fabric paint as the glue. So once I'm done with that segment and I'm happy with it, I'm just again going to add probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And you can see here, when I tap it again, those bubbles that I added at first move. So that's why I'm saying don't fully tappy tap. Let it kind of just a little bit. And then I really liked kind of the organic spacing that it gave me when I would move on to the next section and tap it. Then what happens is as I move around the cup, the fabric paint starts to set up and it doesn't drip as much. So you don't have to worry about it completely spreading out and just wrecking your design. So take your time. Because of the way that I'm applying this, I could only do half of the cup at a time because of, I had to let the fabric paint dry. But I want to show you this. So this is kind of the secret that I discovered while I was going through this process, and this is why I'm saying that you add the lava juice. So one thing that you'll see here is that this cup is actually at an angle. It's kind of hard because of the cup, but because I added the glitter straight into the lava juice, it actually allowed the glitter to always be suspended, okay? So this is at a tilt here, and you can see there's still glitter at the top, but you could also see that the lava juice is tilted down because most of it is at the top of the tumbler. So that's kind of how it's showing me that this is at a tilt. I don't know what it is or how I did it, but, and I've showed this multiple times in our Facebook group, somehow adding the glitter straight into the lava juice has allowed the glitter to always stay suspended. So you can see it here again, the bubbles at the top, so that kind of shows you that it's at an angle, but the glitter is still suspended. It's not moving down. It's still twinkling a little bit, like you can see it as I move around the cup, but it's still suspended. So this is definitely a science experiment that I'm not smart enough to figure out, but I thought that this was an amazing discovery because I had never seen this before. Once I'm happy and all the pearls are dried, I'm gonna grab this same tulip fabric paint and I am just going to go over the top of the rim. So like you can see here, I'm just going around and I'm not just doing little sections anymore. I'm going for it. There's no turning back now. So I'm gonna come in and I'm just going to do this nice dollop around the top rim. And then what we're aiming to do is really cover all of the pearls with this green. So again, I wanted to make sure that the pearls were really coated nicely and that I got the look and effect I was going for. It's a little bit different than the last tutorial that I did on this. So I'm just kind of coming in and adding a nice thick layer of the fabric paint to the top, and then we're just gonna kind of tappy tap. Now it did drop a little bit. So you'll see there that it dropped down and it looked like it was kind of spilling over. I liked that look, so I left it. You could wipe it off if you wanted to, but I really liked how it really gave it the effect that this was pouring down over the top of this tumbler. So, sorry, I'm out of frame here, but I'm just coming in and I'm just tapping the fabric paint down, but I'm trying to cover the pearls. So I'm adding more fabric paint over the top of the pearls, and you can kind of see it there. Man, I suck really bad for not being in frame, but I'm just coming over the areas that do not have the fabric paint over it, so like the pearls are still exposed, adding like a little glob of the fabric paint. There we go. I'm in focus in the frame. So I'm just gonna come in and kind of tap a little bit of that paint in there so you can see like that, and then I just tap it down to kind of give it that drippy, kind of spooky effect. So I even did it in some of the areas that didn't have the pearls, so it just kind of looked like those little trails coming down. But do it to whatever your style and what your taste is. There's no right or wrong. I know I say that all the time, but just kind of work with it until you're happy with the overall coverage and how it looks. Once I had everything nicely coated, I just grabbed a silicone brush and I kind of cleaned up any of the globs that I wasn't really happy with. So just kind of coming in and almost refining a little bit, because you're not going to get it perfectly just by using the bottle and kind of tapping it's to its death, I guess you could say. So I'm just kind of coming in, adding a little bit of that texture, but also cleaning it up at the same time, getting everything a really nice coat and just kind of adding those finishing touches. But then once I was happy with it, I'm going to come in with Kermit Wazowski. I hope I am saying that wrong, or Wazowski. There we go. From Peachy Olive Glitter. And I'm just going to set the fabric paint in place with the glitter. And I really feel like this adds kind of that finishing touch, as we were kind of talking about, that's a little bit different than my other tutorial. So I really like the way this looks. It didn't take away from the texture. I feel like it almost enhanced it and really gave you that bubbly deliciousness of a witch's cauldron, if that makes any sense. Now it is time to start with the lid. So what I did is I just slid in like a normal plastic straw, cut it off down to size, just to prevent anything from getting into the hole for the straw. And then I'm grabbing my liquid fusion. So this is just a great glue that I use quite a bit for rhinestones and different projects. And then I'm using this micro tip Q-tip, I guess, or I don't even know what they're called. I swear everybody should have them in their craft room. I find new uses for them every day, but I'm just kind of adding some little spots almost for different bubbles that would be bubbling to the top of our cauldron. That's also our tumbler. So I just kind of put some bubbly spots every so often. You could absolutely do the entire lid. I liked the way it looked with just some like the sparseness of just kind of a couple of bubble clusters here and there. But if you feel like doing it to each their own, it might be beautiful. But I'm just kind of putting these half stones around the cup until I'm kind of happy with the coverage. And then I'm going to set it aside, and then we're going to move into kind of the same technique that we did with the drips on the cup. Once the half stones are good and dry, we're gonna come in with this same bottle of fabric paint. I'm surprised this guy lasted this long with how much of this that we've used, but I only needed one bottle for the whole project. So I think that's something good to kind of estimate if you're grabbing supplies. And the straw is still in the lid. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm just gonna kind of come in with the fabric paint, squirt it every which way. It really looks like slime, but I'm also gonna use these micro tip Q-tips to kind of fill it in and spread it out across the lid. So at first this was kind of cumbersome, and I was struggling to get the textured effect that I was going for, but I think it's because I was overthinking it. I mean, I know it was because I was overthinking it. So just take your time. I would say if you think you don't have enough fabric paint on the lid, wait, because you will be surprised how much kind of gets glopped into those little pearl clusters. So I ended up pulling quite a bit out of those just because the paint likes to kind of hide there. So make sure that you've moved around the whole lid before you kind of add any more, because that's just going to add dry time that you just don't want to have to wait for. And then the other nice thing about this fabric paint, but it's also kind of a curse at the same time, is you don't have to work quickly. This takes a while to dry. So that's what kind of sucks about it, is because it does take a while to dry, but it allows you to work with it long enough to get the coverage that you want and get it into all the right places before you set it aside to let it dry. So this is where I kind of got overthinking it, and I just came in with the I can't even say it, Kermit Wazowski again from Peachy Olive Glitters. And I was so worried you were gonna see the texture, but you can't. It looks wonderful. It kind of gives you that little bit of bubbliness. And then I'm just going to pull out the straw, tap down any of the rough edges that might have happened, and then set it to the side. While that was drying, and you want to let it dry for a good like 4 hours, maybe even 24, just to make sure, I got this amazing clear decal from AAA Creations, Miss Wendy, I love, but it was clear and this was going on a darker base. So what I did is I measured the decal. It was about 2.5 inches wide, if I remember correctly. And then I cut a white circle to match the exact background of this decal. So here I'm just going to cut a little bit of the decal backing off, just like so. And then I'm going to leave the white circle attached to my mat. And this is just, I'm applying it to Oracal 651. This, the vinyl is actually from Vinyl Fun for Everyone. I will link them down below. But I'm just going to line up that decal and put it into place. So it goes on seamlessly, and it looks like this is a white backed decal. So this was perfect for this design because I really wanted the cauldron and the whole saying to pop. It was designed by the very talented Ashley. I will list her store down in the description box below. But then I also wanted to give it some glittery purple goodness. So this is also from Vinyl Fun for Everyone. I did an 1/8 of an inch offset on this, and I really wanted to make sure that I got this right. So I cut a little bit of the backing off of the white circle with the decal attached to it. And I am just trimming the backing into place to make sure that I'm getting the placement just right, because I really wanted to see it all lined up. So I'm using the side that still has a backing on it to line it up, and then I'm going to secure it on that edge right there. Pull it up, again, I'm out of frame, and then just push it into place. So I love how this turned out, and I think it's just a really nice decal for this tumbler. And with the magic of video, our drips are all dry, and so I really wanted to wait until everything was dry before I even attempted to remove any of the excess glitter. I just did not want to take a chance on messing up my little drippy drips. So I'm just taking a feathered fan brush, and I'm just getting off any of the excess glitter onto some cardstock so that I can save this glitter. So I'll pour it back into the container since this is the only one on the outside of the tumbler. So I'm just kind of taking my time, giving it some good pressure, because you do want to get any of that excess off. And I'm even going up into the drips just to remove anything that we don't want. And you can see how nice it came out. Once I was done with this, it was time to apply our decal. So it was tough finding a spot to place this perfectly because I wanted to make sure that I got it right, and I kind of wanted to frame it between the drips. So I'm just trimming off any of the excess backing, and then I'm just going to pull back this a little bit and trim it up so that way I can make sure that I get it nice and in place. And I thought this was as good of a spot as any. So I just made sure that it would fit on both sides before I pushed it down. So I'm just gonna line it up and then again, secure that one edge, then do the hinge method and fold it over with a squeegee. So this just makes it super easy to apply and prevents any bubbles from getting underneath it that are unsightly and cause major headaches. So it's secure and in place. Now it's time to finish off the lid. So I'm just going to use UV resin to kind of seal everything into place. So I'm just using the same brand of UV resin, and I'm just going to give it, man, my hands are sexy, and I'm completely making fun of myself for having that only in frame. But I'm gonna give it a nice kind of coat over the entire top of the lid, and then just take my time kind of spreading it like a iced cookie. So I'm using my silicone tips tool just to kind of make sure that it's getting out of the crevices of the bubbles. And when I say bubbles, I mean like the half-backed pearls that we added. So that way we don't have a lot of pooling and we don't lose any of that kind of added dimension. So I'm just gonna be pulling this out to the edges. The reason why I really like this UV resin is because it self-levels so well that I could kind of have it uneven, but it's just going to get nice and flat by itself. And then when you torch it, it gets even more perfect. So I'm just using my silicone tool, making sure to pull out any of the pooling. I did it right there. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, I'm just kind of coming in and scraping out any of that excess and then covering the rest of the glitter around the lid. So I'm just going to come in and do this. I'm going to hit it with my lamp. That's actually what is in that upper left-hand corner. I did about 15 seconds, but if you're using kind of a less powerful light, I'd probably hit it twice with the 60-second cycle. And then I'm going to come in with a second coat of epoxy, or not epoxy, but the UV resin, just to make sure that we have a nice smooth coat and none of the pokey bits from any of the glitter that we have applied. While I was working on the lid, I actually did 3 coats of fast set epoxy on the snow globe tumbler just to lock the glitter and the decal in place and give it a nice smooth kind of finish over the entire look. I used probably about 20 milliliters each coat just to make sure that I got everything nice and smooth, and then this baby was done. So here is the cup in all of its glory. You can see there the lava juice coming up the sides of the cup and how the glitter is just constantly suspended. And I just absolutely love how spooktacular, yes, I went there, this cup turned out. I hope this tutorial inspires you, and I can't wait to see what you create. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It means the world to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you're notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again, and there may or may not be an Easter egg in this video that's going to showcase some of the new stuff that's getting ready to come out. I love you guys for watching this long, Happy Halloween. Bye.